Hello, everyone. Hello, can you hear me? If you can type yes, that you can hear me. Okay, perfect. Okay, so hello again. This is, well, Phase 101, as people know me. um, Basically, we are going to talk about the book that is in front of us. The book is about programming the Amiga using assembly 68000, and it covers what the Amiga hardware manual actually covers, but with really good examples. Plus, there's a chapter dedicated to AGA, which I think is a really, really good chapter. Um, from what I've read, I have not read the full book, and I will say why. I've read it till chapter 16, I believe. The reason why is then it goes into 3D and Mets, and I am crap. So I haven't done that part. So I've read it once. Since I got the permission by Fabio, and which I like to thank for giving me this opportunity um, to, stream his book in a way. Um, I decided that, yeah, to do this basically to stream the book, because I felt that yeah, there is not enough information on Amiga on how to program it. Okay, there's the ScoopX by Photon hardware programming, which I like. I did it. I did that. I also started following Geezer, which he did till episode 5, and then he stopped because I understand he's doing a game. So yeah, I understand his issues. But there isn't anything else. There isn't much going on when it comes to program. I mean, when it comes to programming related to the Amiga, there's lots of people talking about it, yeah. But when it comes somebody that is new that wants to learn, I found it very difficult. Now, in my case, I cannot say that I'm really new to the Amiga, but I have to say I forgot everything. And I will show that I am not able to do what I used to do, or what the group used to do. Yes, we can do music for Commodore 64 and Amiga, but when it comes to and I can do code on the Commodore 64, but when it comes to code on the Amiga, I am crap. That's reality. And I decided to do this training because, as I said, there's people like me that wants to learn and there isn't enough info. Apologies, give me a few seconds. I need to check some messages because I've forgot to start my own Facebook Messenger to see the messages. Yeah. You're hearing myself. Okay, this stream is done via Twitch and via Facebook. Now, the problem with people on Facebook, if I put a link on Messenger on the chat, they will not be able to see it. Unfortunately, the way Facebook works with Restream is that I can see their messages, but they cannot see mine unless they go to Twitch. So in reality, the best way to watch this stream is via Twitch. But if you, I mean, I will be showing the links anyway. But if I will be posting the links also afterwards. But if you want to really be on the go with it, you have to be on Twitch, unfortunately. The reason why I'm using Restream because it permits me to stream on Twitch and Facebook. Also, I cannot stream HD. The reason being that FB does not allow HD, full HD. It only allows 720. So I'm limited. In fact, I'm streaming a bit higher than 720, and FB complains, but it's still okay. Basically, that it has to do some work itself, but they have the power to do that. um, okay, so who am I, or who are we? Who is Phase 101? So this is, I think, something that most of you will not believe, but I would like to cover because it's interesting how I arrived to do this. So first of all, the group was called 101 The Maltese Hackers. Funny enough, in the beginning when it was formed, then, and this is the work that we've done as 101 The Maltese Hackers. I think some people in Italy, because they know about it, but I think the rest of Europe very little. Um, but then which had to change to Phase 101 because the copyright law came to Malta, and yeah, we had to change it. I am, by the way, one of the founders for the group. The other one is Crane, which is also on this chat. Um, as you can see, there is all these demos that we've done. Personally, I do not have the code, and I'm not able to do that anymore because I forgot most of the things. So this is all work that we had done in the past. Then when we decided to, this has to be here because it's in sequence. Then when we decided to stop on, somebody just followed, but I didn't see that. Sorry, whoever followed. Sorry, I didn't catch who followed. So thank you very much. Basically, when we stopped from the Amiga scene, we started doing games for the PC, but we didn't like it. Initially, first of all, I had to stop from the Amiga because at work, I remember I got a warning, and my manager told me either I stop and I start taking Unix as VR4 seriously, or they were going to throw me out. So yeah, that's how I had to end abruptly my Amiga career, if I have to say. And I haven't touched the Amiga till for 25 years, I think, because I stopped in 1994, and I started in 2018, I believe, February to so that is, I don't know, roughly 20 years, something like that. Anyway, so in between we were doing games, but it wasn't the same fun, and we started doing some stuff for Android. It's not the same fun. The Amiga is much more fun, I believe. PC, you've got all the RAM now, all the power, but there's no challenges. While the Amiga, you are limited, and that was the fun of it, that you are limited and you still can do nice things. So that's basically some history about Phase 101. Just to explain something related to the setup before I continue. So this is my Amiga, my development machine. You're going to see, I need to switch it on. Actually, it's already switched on. You're going to see a keyboard on the lower side, which shows what I'm doing. But also, when I use shortcuts, I'm just going to do Control C, given that I started. Somebody has followed, but I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the messages for some reason. I thought I set it up that it shows up, but I'm not seeing the alerts. Of course I don't see it. I didn't enable it. Okay, now I see them. Sorry for whoever did the follow. Thank you very much. Um, so I was saying about the keyboard. Every time I use a shortcut on the Amiga for when using the assembler, okay, you will see it coming up on the screen also. So let's say Control V or Control C, which doesn't exist on the Amiga, but just to show which keys I'm pressing, okay? Um, some more things. I was asked how to install a proper Amiga development machine. Well, the thing is, thanks Andy, first stream buggy guys. Yeah, yeah. There's so many things that I have to forget something. Oh, hello, as old school coder. Um, yes, I have a lot of chip RAM. I took the maximum, and I will explain why. I was fed up of running out of chip RAM. But this is a development machine. It's not a real machine, so it's fine. You can use all the chip RAM, no? And also, I have a lot of RAM, fast RAM. But who cares? It's a virtual environment, so why not? But I can assure you, all the sources work on a simple A500. Okay, just 512K of RAM. They all of them will run, except when we do the AGA stuff. Then you need the A1200, of course. The rest, no issues, which I will cover in a minute. Um, I was asked how to have an Amiga development machine. So back to my web browser. So if you want to install a development machine for the Amiga, these two videos, the first one and the second one, in theory, you only need the first one, but the second one I recommended because it installs better Wegburn, so it gives you more options. So these two videos, if you go on the Phase 101 YouTube channel, okay, I can I can share the link, okay. Um, if you do the first two, you should be able to build an Amiga development environment. Um, it's it's simple. I do not see why I should be how to say I should be covering how to set up an Amiga development environment when I've done that already. And to be honest, it's not that difficult. I also recommend that if you're using WinUAE, you share the drive with Windows, or if you're using FSUAE on Linux, you share the drive so that you can copy and edit and do things very quickly. The next step is, sorry, I have a list and I'm reading one step after the other. So what I'm going to, so back to the Amiga. The assembler that the book talks about is ASIM1 or Tresham, okay? But I decided to use ASIM Pro, and the reason why is that it has better features and it has some modern features um, that um, yeah. Sorry, I just read the message of old school coder. Yeah, you have to be patient. Um, so I'm using ASIM Pro. The reason why is just to give you an idea. When I load the source, okay, Sorgenti is sources, okay? For those that do not know. It's everything is in Italian, unfortunately, but I will explain for those that do not understand Italian. So the reason why is because of coloring. One of the reasons why I'm using it. Also, it has less bugs than the others. As in one, there's a version of it that was that was, let's say, upgraded by ScoopX to ASIM 2, and uh, the only thing caveat of it is that it only assembles 68,000 code. It it he Photon fixed a lot of stuff in it from it, but it's still not up to the standard. So for me, it's better to use this one. Also because of the coloring scheme, it makes things more clear, I think. Um, what you will need is only for as in Pro, okay? So this assembler in particular needs a Kickstart 2.04, okay? So if you have a 500 plus, it will run. But if you have a 500, then I recommend you either use Asm 1 or Tresham as the book talks about. And I will be showing the links in a minute. Okay, so Asm 1 can be downloaded from this link, which I will share. There are various versions of it. The latest one is 1.1.48, but there is also a release candidate of 1.49. However, the one that the book mentions, okay, is this one, is the 1.2, okay? So just bear that in mind. Were other versions, and there is also the source, but to be honest, it's if you're going to use ASIM 1, go for the 1.48. ASIM 2 is the one that ScoopX did, which is from Coppershade, the blog or website of Photon. Ah, thank you. FPRL, thank you. One thing that I cannot see and I cannot mention is the users that are currently watching me. And the reason why is I can see who's watching me on Twitch, but I cannot see who is watching me on Facebook. I just see the numbers. It's as I said, I can see that um, on Twitch there is 13, I believe, and on Twitch there is 7 or 8. I cannot see who exactly. I just see numbers. It's the way Facebook works, and I'm doing this on both because my user base is normally Facebook, not Twitch. So this is my first test on Twitch, using Twitch. Emanuele, if you're watching, um, thank you, 64 Mark, for following. Emanuele, if you are on Facebook, you might be better off following on Twitch because links will not be visible on Facebook. Anyway, so I was saying, ASIM 2 can be downloaded from this page. As you can see, it's got lots of more features. It even tells you what type of Amiga you're running, which is a nice feature, which the others don't have. Um, and you can download it from the bottom of the page. Now, as in Pro, the one that I'm using, you can download it from Aminet, which I will paste the link again. And when you unzip it, you will find that there are two directories. One is the source of the assembler, and one is the actual assembler compiled and ready to run. That's the one that you need to copy on the Amiga. I mean, you just drag and drop basically to the directory where the Amiga is, where you want the assembler to be. It's not rocket science, and if you're sharing the hard disk, it's just in Windows, it's just literally drag and drop. Okay. The book and the sources, but for the sources, I'm going to say something else, so please bear with me. The book is available of RamJam is available from this from their website, and this is the link. Thanks, Emanuele, for the follow from this link. So, just a few things about the PDF of the book. There are two versions of the book. There is the Cake Apocalypse. Thank you for the follow. There are two versions of the book. One is 1,872 pages, okay? But it includes the book plus the sources with their documentation, because the sources are very well documented, and believe me, it's like a book. So when you have the source, and at the bottom of the source, it's like you have another book describing what else you can do, and he even gives some exercises, so how to modify the code, etc., and get some other results. But it's up to you and to your imagination. And then there's the shorter version, which is just 404 pages. Okay, so it's this one. So there is the first one, the 182, and then there is the 404 pages. Okay, the 404 pages is just the book. Okay, and the 404 pages is if you order the book online. Okay, because you can actually buy this book, which I did, of course, and I did read it. I prefer reading through the book than through a PDF personally, but yeah, the book, the 404 pages, the book printed in black and white is €25. The book printed in color, where the demos are, etc., or the examples are, screenshots of the examples, etc., is I think $50 or $60. I just can't remember, but it's one or the other. The discs or the sources can be downloaded from here, but on advice from Fabio, okay, Ciucci, which I thank again for his for permitting me to do this stream. It's better if you get the sources from Aminet, and you type Corso. Okay, I'm going to share the link. Okay, and I will have to look it up. I don't know. As I said, it's the first time using Twitch, so, and Restream, so yeah, there will be things that I will need to sort out probably in relation to the bot, if there are issues related in relation to the bot. But yeah, or mod, auto mod. I don't know exactly what it means, but yeah. So if you type Corso, you will be shown two sets: the LHA version of the course of the examples, and the A-Z. A-Z is you upload them. They are floppies basically. It's like you insert them in the F0 and then you read them from there. But I will go through this one by one. And then there is the same thing, the PDF, the book, and then there's again the whole sources, okay, already in LHA. So basically, if you extract it, it will be as if you did these 6 into one. That's what it is. I mean, it will create all the directories that you will see. Um, Please note that I can use a toolchain for all this. Okay, I can use. It's very easy to use um, something like Visual Code, see the code there, edit it there, and then assemble it through the Amiga because I will be sharing the hard disk through the Amiga. But I prefer doing everything on the Amiga instead of doing it on the PC. And the reason why also is because the book did not know about Visual Studio Code or whatever, or Sublime or whatever. So it talks about that. Um, I'm not going to use Vasm or anything else. It's going to be with the Amiga because, as I said, the book talks um, about ASM1. And to be fair, they were not tested with Vasm, so I do not know how they will behave. Um, I doubt that they will compile 100%. Although Fabio states that they will compile with DefPack also, and I know that Vasm has got a DefPack mode. Um, Still, I prefer to use ASM1 as the source. I do not want to have issues in relation to assembling the code. So let's pass back to the Amiga. So after you download everything, okay, you'll end up, let's get out of the assembler again. I will explain the commands of the assembler eventually, but for now, it's not important. So if on the emulator, if you press F12, okay, you get the control of the emulator. And if we do the ADZ files that we downloaded, you will see, so if I click here, this is what I downloaded from Aminet, okay? So all the set of disks or LHA files. So if you click on the first one and select it, okay, I am on floppy drives, okay? So remember, ADZ is like a floppy drive. And click OK. The floppy drive will appear, the icon will appear on your workbench. Now, some people use directory opus. I use DW. I do not need the complications of directory opus to use my Amiga. I'm still old school in a way, but lots of things I have forgotten them. I use also tools. I mean, the tools here is expanded with the normal Amiga workbench. You don't get these, but if you use better workbench, then you can start adding these, and these are all the tools that I normally use on the Amiga. DW, okay. If, as I said, it's a floppy drive, so the F0. Okay, can you first of all see on the Amiga I cannot really, make the text bigger. Also, I'm using a bit of a high res mode for the Amiga. In fact, I have the actually I can do something to maybe make it look bigger. I can change the preferences because else it might be a bit too small. So 640 I need. Where is 640? 640 by 512, that should do. Use. Okay, so now you should see it better. It might have lost a bit the remember the Amiga was not like today's did not use the monitors like today's, the 180p. So it was squarish. So you might see it a bit, how to say, stretched, the screen. But yeah, so DW. As I said, many people use directory opus. I do not like directory opus. Personally, it's too bloated for an OS. I mean, I'm a person that do not like bloated OSs, and that is Linux and Windows. They are bloated, including Mac OS. I prefer the simple OS like the Amiga. Um, so the F0 again, okay, and you will see that the directories of what's on the floppy. So basically what you need to do is just copy, okay, the directories, okay, to your, I don't know, I'm going to copy to my hard disk DH0 and I find temp, okay, and I say, I don't know, something there. And you just copy them, okay? I do not need to copy, but you copy them to where you want. I suggest you create a directory and then you put them in the directory. You can create a directory. So if this is hard disk 0, I click DH0, you can see it here. You can make dir, where is it? mkdir, okay? That is like DOS in a way. On the disks you also find all the tools that the book talks about. So as in one is there, okay, and KEFCON, which I will cover later on, is there. I will say what KEFCON is later on. There is also the text version on the floppies of the book. So if you want to copy it, I'm just using the PDF version. But that is how to extract the A.Z files, okay? Now, I need to show you something that is very important, that you do it with the Amiga and not with Windows or Linux or whatever the Mac has. I said that there is an LHA extension and most of the files are .lha. Now, the Windows, if you use 7-zip, 7-zip can extract .lha. And there is also for Windows LHA, if you want to use LHA, or for Linux, there is LHA. But I'm going to go to my hard drive and I show why it's not a good idea. The H2 is where my things are. So if I go on the second disk, you will see, I think I renamed it. Yeah. So I cannot show it to you here, but let's go on. Let's go on DF. I need to get the second disk. So same as before, and we change to disk 2 to show you what an issue it is on Windows and on Linux. Now we go to DF0. Ah, crap, I was on the right disk. So again, it was Sorgenti 2. So Sorgenti 2 is disk 1. So DF0 again. So Sorgenti 2. Now you see the first file? Look at the name of it. 320 star 256 star 3. Can you have star in file names on Windows and on Linux and on Mac? You cannot. The Amiga can, but not Windows. Star in the Amiga DOS is hash question mark. But yeah, so this is one of the reasons why you cannot copy extract the files using Windows. There are other issues, but I'm just explaining one of them. So always extract them via the Amiga, not with LHA or 7-zip or whatever on Windows or Linux. The Amiga emulator is very intelligent, and when it extracts the file, because my hard disk, the H2, okay, is, I'm going to show you, is very intelligent, and it detects that issue. WinUAE is very intelligent when it comes to this, and it detects the issue. And I'm going to bring the directory instead of going there on Windows, okay? It renames it underscore underscore UAE under triple underscore Amiga underscore 320 underscore 250. So that is to show you that WinUAE will rename that file to this extension, or not extension, this name. But when you view it in the Amiga, you will see the stars. So it will remember that those are stars where the underscore is. So it's quite intelligent. And if I go on mine, although I think I renamed it, so I'm not sure if it will be fine. As in tutorials, RamJam, Sorgenti 2. So that file, I renamed it, but I think I still have a copy of what it does. So you see it, it's under double underscore UAE triple underscore Amiga. So that's the actual file that WinUAE will convert. However, if I did not mess up with it, and there's a reason why I messed up with it, because this file is actually corrupted. I think when RamJam copied this from Amiga to there are other files that are actually corrupted, but this is one of them, to PC. They did not follow the copying process properly, and because of the stars, it got corrupted. So if you had to see this file, because I did examine the file, the contents of this, it should be an image of the Amiga logo with in that resolution 320 by 256 3-bit planes or 8 colors. But it didn't. So from time to time I stop reading messages, so that's why there's might be a pause. It didn't transfer properly. So when I encounter such a file, I will tell you. In fact, I created my own image for the sources that uses it. So it is here, and I actually, because I know of the Windows that has got issues, I renamed it to 320 with the X instead of star. Okay, so that's one thing. So let's go to the LHA now. So if you want to use the LHA thing, I use Zshell as my CLI. Okay, it's an extension of the CLI basically. I created an assign called RamJam. So it takes me directly to the directory where my sources, the sources are of the book. I will show you what the assign is on for the Amiga. It's all DOS basically, but it's a nice feature that the Amiga has, and as far as I know, it doesn't exist on Windows or on Linux. Okay, you can map a drive, let's say Z to something, etc., but not give it a name and do all this stuff. Sorts sort of things. And also that RamJam, I can use it when I'm compiling the sources. So I hope I do not. When I was doing this live was already done in Italian. Okay, when I was doing the Italian version, I kept typing the Linux commands instead of the Amiga commands or Windows commands, because there is Amiga is also um, Amiga. So you can see I have the LHA, some of the files, the corso.lha file. Now the disks has got the LHA on it. These are all, when you extract them, these are all the tools, okay, not the .info. The .info are what are icons for the workbench. Okay, the others are tools that the how to say, tools that the book uses, okay, and all of them, we will go through them one by one. I might introduce others, my own personal thing, but yeah, that's at that time, these are the tools and they work on any Amiga, so there's no issue. Okay. If you see, there's the TF as in one, because actually he prefers the TF as in one, and he says it's less buggy at the time when he wrote it. Um, when he wrote the book, this book was written in 1995 or 1996, and I stopped on the Amiga in 1994. I mean, my manager, I still remember when he called me and told me, "Oi, either you stop and start taking care of proper level of our systems, or you are going to." I had 3 months to fix myself, I remember, or I'm going to tell you to move, to leave. Thank you, Mita. Anyway, um, the LHA command. Okay, if you type LHA. Now, another reason, my Amiga is, when you use higher resolution on the Amiga, the display tends to slow down on Workbench. Um, the reason why is because of the way Workbench was written to handle text at that time. I believe this was fixed in future, because I'm using 3.1, not 3.14 or 3.9 or version 4. I prefer the old Amigas, I know it. The others, I don't know, some people prefer them, but I believe there's more user base on the 3.1 or 3.14. I should be using 3.14, but I had no reason. 3.14 came after I created my development machine and I never upgraded, basically. So yeah, that's basically it. The LHA command, if you notice here, okay, it's an X and it means extract files with full path. So all you have to do, okay, is LHA X, and what files there was, LHA X, and I don't know, 3D, which I have already extracted, so I'm not, and it will do everything, and it will create, as you can see here, it will create this directory 3D, and everything will be under it, and you'll be able to see it from Windows and from the Amiga. I bring my Windows, and you will see the 3D, and that's all that there is for. So this part of the manual I haven't read. I don't know if I will manage to read it by the time uh, I you know I'm doing this. I would like to, but I felt it's a bit above my knowledge, to be honest, because of the mathematics that there is. He explains the mathematics of it, but not really, um, not really. I think I need more simpler maths to arrive to what he's saying. So that's basically it. Let me see if there's okay, I need to explain the assign command, how I did the assign command so that you guys can do it on your workbench. So as an editor, I use sed on the Amiga. So the Amiga, when it starts, reads a file called startup sequence. Okay, that file is like config.sys and autoexec as it was in the old DOS. Okay, when DOS was starting up. Um, and it is always in the main hard disk. So in my case, my DH0 is the boot disk, um, and it's always under the S directory. Okay, any configuration normally goes into this directory. So there is the startup sequence, um, startup sequence. Okay, and this file calls um, calls another file called user startup. This is basically I hardly ever touched this. This is the startup sequence that Workbench will create, and then it will be enhanced by better Workbench. So to be honest, you don't mess with this file. I mean, I know exactly what it does, but you don't really need to mess. If you need to do any changes, you do them in the user startup. Okay, so open again, user startup. And these are all things that I wrote myself, but for RamJam, this is the assignment line that I did. The comma begin RamJam tutorials and comma or semicolon, sorry, and RamJam, that is me just marking the block of what I am doing. And it's only this assign thing that you need to enter. So you type RamJam, okay? So you type RamJam and it will take you directly to the path that you have selected. If you have 3 hard disks or 4 hard drives like I have, because it's my development machine, it's quite handy when you want, if let's say you are on DH0, so the system, and you want to jump to it directly, it's very handy just to type RamJam and you get it. I'm not seeing any more messages. Is it still working? Is it, I don't know. If Andy, can you type any a message so that I see if it's still working or not? Because the last message I'm reading from you is the Vesim, it's faster. That's the last message I have. I haven't seen any other messages after that one. Okay. All good. Perfect. Thanks, Andy. So we have done, I believe, the first part of not really. No, I need to jump again to the assembler. So let's exit from here, quit and die, and now I need to jump to the assembler. So again, as in Pro, wherever I did it, because I always this last one. Yeah. When you launch an assembler, okay, the as in Pro, in the Amiga there are 2 types of memory, okay? There is chip RAM and fast RAM. Chip RAM is the memory that the CPU and the Amiga hardware registers share between them. It's like, for those that know the Commodore 64, it's like the banking, VIC use a 16K of RAM, where it sees that RAM, and the same thing is seen by the CPU. Okay, so that is called chip RAM in the Amiga terms. Okay, anything else that the Amiga doesn't seem, that the custom registers of the Amiga don't see, is called fast mem. Okay, now there is also public mem. Public mem means when you create a source, when you are creating a source, if there is available fast mem, put my source in fast mem. If there isn't, then I'm happy to use chip mem. As you know, as you saw, my Amiga, okay, and this is the beauty of the Amiga. For those that have forgotten, you can have two screens and share them and see them at the same time. Um, I have the full 8 megabyte chip RAM, okay? Graphic is called, or graphic mem, as Workbench calls it, and 512 megabytes of fast mem. Okay, so I'm telling the assembler, if you have fast mem, use fast mem. If you don't, go to chip mem. In my case, it's going to use chip mem. Okay, and I reserved myself. That's more than enough, but it's so difficult to move that bar that I left it there. I'm using 668K of RAM for my sources. And I've changed my default directory to be, because where all my ASM files are, the H2 ASM 0. For those that want, when you install ASM Pro, okay, you will not have a black screen and the colors that I have. Okay, so to have that, okay, you need to go first of all on colors. Okay, and if you want, you can change. I'm using a Workbench of 16 colors, but my ASM Pro is only using 8 colors. Okay, um, you can change the colors here with this option. Basically, it is available from assembler, preferences, colors. Okay, color syntax, okay, is where you assign the colors, and you have the front, which is the text, and the back, which is the background. So background is always black, and then the rest is according to what I assigned. Okay, that is, I am Emanuele Bondi. My English is very clear, really. I'm not English native speaking, like I am not Italian native speaking. But anyway, thank you very much for that. Yes, Eldridge. I will be covering the keys. I haven't uh, old school coder. I haven't really gone into the shortcuts, but yeah, thank you for that. It's Amiga M. Yes, it does that. But if you're using, let's say, you because I'm using the WinUAE, and if you're using a PC keyboard, it will not be Amiga. It's a control. So I do not want to go there yet because I might be confusing people. But yeah, thank you very much for that. I used to come to Doncaster. I 2 years ago, I think he was coming there every week. So learned Doncaster quite well. There are some good areas and some areas that I better not talk about. How I found myself there, it's a different story, but yeah. Anyway, so let's not talk about towns or villages or cities in UK because I traveled quite a lot because of my previous work. I was going all around UK and going to schools installing. Um, I mean, this was in 2014, I think, or 13, 13, I think, 12 and 13. I was working for RM Education, which are based in Reading. I was going there, and then they used to send me every week. I was going Monday. I always had the pleasure of traveling to a place that I've never been. And I've seen certain things that in schools that yeah that I do not wish to see again. Anyway, so uh, that's basically when it comes to the cutting. I will not go to the assembler shortkeys, etc. I'm just making sure that the key is working. So as I said before, if I press Control C, you see the keys should be coming up on the screen. And when I'm using the assembler, these will be coming up quite often because I'm switching from one to the other. Old school code, do not tell them more. No, 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 no. Laugh out loud. Uh, but it's not just, believe me, it's not just Doncaster where I saw things a bit further up, there is, or to the right of Doncaster, there's another place where I saw some things. And it was a school for children that were criminals. So believe me, I saw things there. No, Hull. Anyway, let's not go there. Believe me, the computers were screwed to the desk and they will still find a way to take them out. Anyway, um, what reminders? Let's see where I am. Okay, although it's a bit too early, I just want to explain um, about how to write source in this is covered in the book, but I feel that if you see it, it's better than the way it is explained in the book. So a label, okay, is written, of course I'm going to use Phase 101, is written from the first left column. It's the same like if you've done on 6502 assembly, basically. It's written, starts always from the first column, okay? And I have the habit not to put any more commands after the label. So I just, and it always have to end with colon. In most cases on Amiga, it has to end with colon from the assemblers that I know of. But there are assemblers that actually do not need that. And there's are assemblers that give you the option to either have them with colon or not. I'm old school, Amiga old school, so I still prefer them with the colon. Then the assembler or CPU instructions, let's say move.w, okay? You tab or make a space and you start writing the instruction. The .w, I will explain what it is, but for now, just consider it's a move instruction. Move instruction is the same like load accumulator for the 6502 and store accumulator. The 68000 has got source and destination. So basically, now it's coming to what we want. So if we do, I don't know, FFF, and then in the hardware register, the FF10180. Okay, for those that do not know, the FF180 is the background in the Amiga, or the first color index, because Amiga uses color indexing from 1 to 3, from 0 to 31. And basically you're changing the color of the background, or index 0, which normally is the background. Where the .w, it means we're moving a word, okay, which happens to be FFF, which is red, green, blue. So those are the colors to the register. So source, it's always source, destination. You can also have, I'm just going to explain the move command a bit. You can also have long. So now we're moving a 32-bit, not a 16-bit number, and we can move, I don't know, FFF and then FFF, okay, comma, the 0. We're moving the maximum number that you can have. Sorry, I needed to put, that's a mistake. That's bad of me, and immediate. Is there an extra one there? Yes, there is an extra one. So that's a 32-bit number into the 0. So that's basically how to write 68,000 code. There are various addressing modes, which I'm not going to, but always remember there's the instruction, the CPU instruction. Then you specify the length of the instruction, if you want to say, I mean, or of the data, sorry. So the .w or .l. There are more. Right now, I'm just mentioning 2 of them. And then you specify the source, and then you specify the destination. You can write comments with the semicolon and blah, 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 okay? Or you can write them. They also can start from the beginning, and you can write comments there, okay? So that's how to write assembly in 68,000 in terms of formatting. This is just pure assembly language, no macros, nothing. So that is something that we will cover later on in the book. And they are assembler directives, which I will not be going through right now. By the way, don't think that I know a lot about the Amiga and assembly or things. I only read this book, saw this Amiga, saw the videos of Scoopex, okay, and read also the Amiga hardware reference manual. Those are the only things I did, okay? So don't think that I am an expert, and I do not want to come forward to you and say that I'm an expert. Far from it. I just feel that there is not enough out there, and I want people like me that want to learn 68 code to, explain them. So I only know what is in the book, nothing else. If some demo coder joins here and start talking about certain things, I will not be able to myself understand, because I cannot even understand the code that I did, which I do not have, but people put on the websites, because I do not have most of the sources. I'm not most, nearly nothing of what I did 30 years ago. So yeah, I am a beginner like anyone else when it comes to 68,000. And I'm sure that there will be people that might teach me, but unfortunately, they are not sharing what they know, or they're not doing anything to share it. Yeah, so I've been talking for 1 hour, guys, and I would like to have a break. And the reason why is I am thirsty, seriously thirsty. So I'm going to put my be right back, and in 5 minutes I should return and continue from where I left, basically. I was saying, for those that joined just now or during the break, and are on Facebook, please, when I share links, etc., you will not be able to see them on in the chat. Facebook doesn't relay back what I write. It's something that happened since Facebook has done some upgrades. But yeah, old school coder. Yeah, laugh out loud. I forgot to switch off the microphone. But yeah, please join on Twitch if you want to see links, etc. Because FB will not relay them back. Anyway, let's continue. So now it's the part where I will start going through the book, basically. I have both versions of the book. However, I'm going to use the 404 one. My notes are all on the 404 one. And the reason being is sometimes I will need them both. And the examples are here. So when I need to go through an example, I will switch to the other book, basically. It's easier to have both books with my notes than having them on one in my case. The other thing is that I forgot what I was going to say, but okay, it will come back to me. So thank you all once again, Fabio Ciucci. Okay, and this book, as you can see, is got a license on it. You're allowed to share it. You're allowed to use the sources, etc. But you need to always give credit. Okay, I'm not going to go into the detail of the license. I haven't asked Fabio if I'm allowed to share my notes, because I can share this file with you guys with my notes, but I need to see what he says in relation to this. I have to say that last week after the Italian one, I had like nearly 2.5 hours chatting with him. He's a very nice person, and he speaks English very well also, and he understands that when he wrote the book it was one thing and now things change. So yeah, I need to ask him about sharing my notes, because since you do not understand Italian, it will be handy for you guys to read my notes. Basically what I will do, I will go through each paragraph when it is interesting, because when it's not interesting, I will say it's not interesting, or there's nothing that you should, you can ignore it. And basically, explain it. I do not go in detail line by line or translate it. I will just say what is essential, what is really important there, even for the sources. And the sources, I will try to explain them, let's say, to my knowledge and to what I understood. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm perfect, far from it, but yeah. I saw your message now, school coder. Yeah, I don't remember if you did that, but yeah, it happens. To be honest, somebody distracted me, and that's why I forgot to switch on the mic. It's a thing. Davide, that you just joined, Davide Calaminci. If you really want to follow, I suggest that anyone that is on Facebook, again, just go to Twitch. You will be able to follow it better when I'm sharing links. Sorry if I'm repeating this, but unfortunately, Facebook is, I don't know what words I should use. I have one, but I will not say it. Anyway, all the sources. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the follow. the book was tested with A500, A500 Plus, 600, and A1200. Ah, David Bonici. Ah, you're Maltese. 1984. Anyway, um, so the as you can see, the only one that is missing there is the A4000. But I have an A4000 and I tested, and I'm not saying this to show off. Okay, I did test this code on an A4000, and they do run. So the other machines, which are identical to, I mean, the A3000 is an ECS machine. And what else is missing from there besides the A3000? The CD32 is also like the A1200 or the A4000, so they should work also. But I do not have them, so I can only say I tested these sources on the A4000 and they worked. So there should not be any issues there. Yeah, I remembered of what you said, the old school coder, so not to show off. No. Actually, my A4000 gave me a lot of problems in the beginning when I got it. But anyway, now it's sorted and recapped it and all that stuff, and I'm happy with it. Anyway, so let's start with the book. When you see nothing, when you don't see highlighted, it means I'm not going to be bothered going through it. Okay. He continues. McGeezer. Oh, McGeezer, thank you for following. Oh my God. I'm honored to have you here. I know you are doing the series of the Amiga, which I was following, McGeezer, and I know that you had to stop because of other things that you're doing, and I respect that. And it's a shame that you stopped, but I do not know more than you for sure. I am just trying to say what I learned from this book and sharing what I learned from this book, basically, which I'm pretty sure you know more than this. But yeah, thank you very much for the follow, McGeezer. Anyway, I am not going to when you see not highlighted, basically there are no comments, so I'm not going to go through it. He talks again about the license, and actually it starts from here. Now the book has, as you can see, these are the chapters. Okay, so we'll be covering all these. So this is copper. The, chapter 3 is copper. Today we'll be doing 1, and we will not finish 1. There's lots of talk on 1. Chapter 2 is 68,000 code. Okay. Chapter 3 is copper. Chapter 4 is screens. Okay. Chapter 5 is scrolling, vertical, horizontal. Chapter 6 is fonts and scrolling, more scrolling basically. Chapter 7, sprites. Chapter 8, more detail about the 68,000. He goes more in detail. Then 9 is blitter. Ah, steps. Hello. Sorry, no gambling here, but thank you for the follow. Then, in fact, blitter has got 2 chapters. There is chapter 10 is advanced blitter, where he talks about blobs, minterms, etc. Chapter 11 is interrupts, CIA and DOSLib. He talks about how to use the DOS libraries. Chapter 13, this is errors that you might encounter in code. The code was always written for 68,000, okay, to assemble on 68, but he covers a little bit the other processors. However, errors that you might encounter if you're not careful, okay? So this is why he covers them here, but all the code should work on 68,000. Then he goes into optimization, okay? Then this chapter is the only chapter that I might change. This is about the play routine, basically. I mean, Amiga music. When this book was written, the play routine was not the P61, which many might know, was not to the standard that it is today. He goes in detail where to find things, etc. in it, but I think I will go. I will do a separate part. Um, Docs Doxter me. Hi. Thanks for the follow. Yeah. So I will. Um, I haven't figured out what I will do yet because I haven't done the notes for that yet. But yeah, when I was going through that, I more followed the ScoopX version than this one. The reason why is it's still in the when he wrote it in 1996 or whatever. But he does mention the P61, so that it existed at the time, just not to the level that it is now. Then he covers the AGA chipset, okay? That is chapter 15, and he goes in detail on that. Then um, this goes into, this is where I stopped, part 2. So I did till chapter 15, basically. This is quite an interesting, chapter 15, just to go back to it, is very interesting. There are so many things that I didn't know about AGA that, yeah, it's incredible how they managed to tweak the ECS chipset to have AGA because actually it's just an extension of the registers, and it's incredible how they did that. Anyway, second part I haven't done. This is where he goes through mathematics and 3D basically, and then he goes into texture mapping, which is even more advanced than what I want, and real-time 3D. Actually, 17 is the license. He goes into the detail about the license. And then if we're using the big book, okay, just to show, and it's also in color, the big book, chapter 17, from then on, there is the actual sources and the details of each one. Okay, so if you click on one, you will see what you get in the assembler, basically. But yeah, chapter 1 is 308 pages. No, it's chapter 1 is 21 pages, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 21 pages. So lesson 2 starts at 21. But all the chapters are 308 pages or something like that. Yeah, and it covers exactly the same like what the hardware manual talks about. Maybe it doesn't go in detail. Actually, it doesn't go in detail where it comes to the actual hardware, like the floppy drive, programming the floppy, etc. But to be honest, in today's world, you will not be programming the floppy. Let's put it this way. Or I don't see the use of it, or writing a boot code loader or things like that. Yeah. So let's see where my notes start. Okay. So this is where I start. Just to go a little bit back, he mentions some other people which helped him in the book. So just to make you aware that although it's his book, I think he had some help, some external help, all from RamJam, that he was a member of RamJam when he wrote the book, that helped him out in producing this book. The book starts. I'm having trouble with the carry bit. Yeah, big time. In the 68,000, you need to be careful the carry bit where which whether using 8-bit, 16-bit, or 32-bit. Anyway, the first thing that he mentions here in this paragraph is that it's good if you know a little bit of DOS. This I agree. You will find yourself from time to time needing DOS to run certain commands. So, yeah, David, now I remember. Yes. Oh, God, yes. Thanks, David. Yeah, oldschoolcoder.b. Anyway, he says that it's good to know DOS. By the way, I will not finish this chapter for sure. There's lots to cover. Um, and the next one, I believe, so I showed you that I was using the Z shell, but actually at that time there is the CLI, and that's what you normally get with the Amiga. The Z shell, you need to install it. Okay, so using the Amiga DOS, when you open CLI, is practically like using the DOS command. You have dir, copy, delete, and make dir. Okay, those are the essential commands that you will use. But if you have directory opus or DW, you will never use them because you will use that. And from Workbench, it's very rare that I myself go into CLI unless I'm writing a script or something or making something like a floppy bootable, an image of a floppy bootable with something that I did. Um, so yeah, I know, for example, that Crane will need my help to do the DOS bootable thing for his game. But yeah, hello Chiswick, Chiswick Wicked. Sorry. Um, so the next, so as I said, here he gives some examples, and then next one is that he says that you can also execute most of the commands in the CLI through Workbench, which is true. I have to say that this is if you have Workbench 3.1 or 3.0 or 2.04. Workbench 1.2, 1.3, I would say you will need some tools or you go to CCLI because you didn't have all the commands like the others. They were still, let's say, they still, let's say, were not. You know, when I'm talking about Workbench 1.3 is the blue one, not the grayish one, that had some limitations. And to be honest, I remember I've never used to use Workbench. It's very rare that I boot it in Workbench. Even though I had a hard drive, I was using CLI constantly because Workbench was so limited back then. Um, I'm talking in when it was 1.3, not when the when the A500 Plus came, it was Workbench 2.04, which was already quite advanced compared to 1.3. And even I had an older version. To be honest, my first Amiga was 1.2 Workbench, and also Kickstart 1.2. So you can imagine it was a real cut down version. Um, I think I was one of the few people that had Workbench 1.2 and Kickstart 1.2, except me and Crane, I think, that had the old Amiga. In fact, even the keys I remember were different than the Amiga. Unfortunately, the Amiga that I had, the 1.2, I sold it, but I still have because I bought the A500 Plus, I still have the A500 Plus with a GVP A530 attached to it. When it comes to the internal floppy is the F0, okay, and the other floppies are the F1, the F2, the F3. The sometimes when I stop, I'm looking at the messages. The hard disks are either DH0 or HD0. I prefer DH0, okay? So I prefer that type of syntax, DH0. Ciao Gilberto, scusa ma sto facendo questo in inglese, non in italiano. Se vuoi vedere la versione in italiano, c'è la versione in italiano su Retro Programming, Retro Programmers Inside. Sorry guys, I had to say this in Italian because the guy I know doesn't understand English. Um, so the D80. Yes, old school coder. I can switch from one language to another quite easily. And if you want, I can switch to Maltese, but I do not think you want to hear Maltese. Uh, the H0 is quite particular because it's also called sys. So this is why you should never rename your hard drive as system. Okay, always renaming anything else except system, okay, or sys, because Amiga DOS will get confused. By default, sys is always there. Of course, it's the same like the floppy. It becomes like DH0, DH1, DH2, DH3, and they continue basically. Next one. This is what I explained about the startup sequence, which I showed you. Basically, in the S directory, there is the startup sequence, and that's the file that is executed when you insert a floppy into the Amiga. You think it's not there, but it's always there unless, and I'm going to iterate a bit, unless you have your own bootloader, okay? Which I remember we used to write, but I'm not able to write at all now. So some demo coders use their own bootloader, which is quite easy, to be honest, to write a bootloader for the Amiga. Well, it was quite easy. Now I need to see what I used to do. But yeah, that's one thing. So keep in mind, directory S startup sequence is quite important. Okay. As you can see, he refers to Tresham1 assembler, and he says that you should have the Tresham1 preferences in the S directory. We are not going to have that, and we are not going to have that. Sorry, I'm switching between what I see on the screen and the yeah, okay, change Dr. Me to copper. I will program you in a few days time. Anyway, as I said, I will be using Asim Pro instead of Tresham1. But if you're using pure Amiga, I suggest use Tresham or Asim 2. Next one. So here I have notes about the links, which I already shared. Okay. Next part is that he's saying that the book will cover copper, blitter, sprite, AGA, everything basically that one might imagine. Okay. He also covers a bit related to Picasso graphic card, but also he covers dual playfield and all that stuff, and he's saying that everything is 68,000. So bear with me on that. Okay, so here he talks about the license. I'm indicating the license thing. He's saying that you can share the book, whatever, but you cannot make money from it. Okay, if you're making money, it is illegal, and you always have to give him credit. So please make sure for that. Now, this is the paragraph that hurts me most. When he wrote this in 1995 or 6, whatever. No, there isn't a version of it in English. There's only an Italian version. My notes are in English. Dr. Me. So basically, I'm going through the book and explaining it bit by bit where I think it is necessary. Here he wrote that you do not need to know a lot of maths to do 3D. Okay. If he told me this, and at that age doesn't matter also. And if he told me this in 1996 or 1995, I would have agreed with him. But I'm sorry, I do not agree with him in 2020. I really have forgotten everything. So yeah, whatever. I do not think I can get my meds back, to be honest. I continue. The most important thing he says is that, I mean, this is the scope of this book basically, that you learn 68,000, which I said it will be covered in chapter 2, and how to use the custom chip set of the Amiga. It will always be hardware programming here. There is no system calls, okay? It doesn't make use of the system calls. I mean, there is some where he will use just, for example, allocating memory, etc. But in reality, so things that are in the kickstart, like exec, he will use, but libraries of the Amiga, he will not go through them. That is not the scope. I suggest that if you want to use the libraries, you do not use assembly, you use C. That's reality. It doesn't make sense to use assembly. There are lots of other groups on Facebook. I've seen many which program the Amiga using C. Okay, here he explains that there are two words of the Amiga, which is true. When he wrote the book, definitely there was. There is the demo scene and there's the gaming scene. So the people that write demos and people that code demos and people that code for the Amiga doing games. Okay, that's basically what that chapter, that third paragraph says. And this one, he continues to talk about the demo scene and some things that were done in the Amiga demo scene using assembly. Okay, and he gives various examples. Okay, also he mentioned some of his own demos here. Of course, you have to expect that. Again, here he says age doesn't matter. But I have to say I do not agree. And he's referring to English here, to be honest. Remember this how to say stream, I did it a week ago to the Italians. I did the same stream in Italian. And there are people that do not know English, and it's very hard for them to learn English at my age. If there some are even older than me. So if I'm 52, yeah, I'm not afraid saying my age. I think you'll find it difficult to learn English at this age. So yeah. I think if he told me this in 1996, I would have agreed. But now, yes. So I take the old school coder. I will become the old school coder because I'm older, no? Yeah, mega old. So that's basically it. He talks about English, but it's true. If you know English, things are easier. In this case, if you know Italian, are easier to understand this book. But anyway. Now he continues to say, and remember, he's talking to the Italians. He continues to say that if you know English, it will help you to understand assembler commands better, DOS commands better, and all that stuff. So you do not need I do not need to continue to go into that. Then he jumps into the difference between using C and learning C or learning assembler. And he says if you want to write something like Deluxe Paint, then you might as well write it in C, not in assembler, like many other tools that are written on MS-DOS or Windows. But if you're going to write a game or a demo, it makes sense to write it in ASM, basically. And he continues to mention, he mentions some games that are written in assembler and not in C. Now remember, the Amiga C, okay, although it was there in, I think SASC came out in 1998, I mean the first version or something like that, it was not that good in the beginning. I mean, it became good in 1991, I think, or 92. So most of the initial games were always written in assembler, and most Amiga games are written actually in assembler. Few are written in C. I'm not saying that C is bad, but C was more visible as something to write for Workbench than for writing a demo or than writing an actual game. SASC version 6 came quite later. It came after I left the scene and after 1994. So yeah. Thanks for the follow-up. Follow-up. I cannot read your name, but anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, McGeezer, you are lucky. You are 7 years younger than me. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue. This I highlighted this because you might be thinking, oh, he's mentioning lots of things, but actually he's only comparing MS-DOS with Amiga. Remember when it was written, and what the difference are or things like that. Why on MS-DOS, why the Amiga we use 68,000 and why in MS-DOS we use C or things like that. So it's something not to go through. Then here he explains the difference between what is an assembler and assembly. As you know, hi Gary Meg, thanks for the follow. So what I'm saying is an assembler is the actual software that you use to assemble your code, and assembly is what you write, no? Is the assembly code. So that's what he's explaining there. The difference between the assembler, you saw, for example, earlier you saw me using ASIM-Pro. ASIM-Pro is the assembler. What I was writing there in the assembler, that is the assembly. Okay. I think this continues with the next. Yeah. He's saying here, this is funny, but it's true. Red Sector Mega Demo, Demo Maker, sorry, was released, and you can write demos for the Amiga using the Red Sector Demo Maker, and there are others, but that was the one most famous at that time. However, he's saying that is limited of what you can do. You know, you can only do a nice demo as much as the software permits you to do. You cannot do anything that you can do a lot more things what the assembler can do. Okay, so yeah. By the way, this is where I stopped in the Italian version. In English, I'm more fast, I think. Anyway, let's continue. So he's saying that you can write a game to learn and also for fun. Many don't see it like this. Maybe many see it like writing a demo is more fun than writing a game. So it depends, okay? But whatever you're doing, you are having fun. I assume whatever you're doing is something that you like. If you are not a coder and you like playing games, you are not going to code. It's not what you like. You are going to play games. While I have to say, I don't know you, McGeezer, but the games that I make, okay, for the Commodore 64. I'm very crap on them, and I made them. So I see people playing my games, and they are a lot more better. So I can see that it will be the same thing for many people. He's mentioning here that um, you can use the Amiga development kit, and I believe it's version 1.2, the latest one that was released, or 2.1, something like that. However, there is also, which was available on CD, there is also, you can write assembly for CD32 or AGA, which many probably did not know at that time because lack of info. I mean, I remember trying to find at my time trying to learn AGA, and I had no info. I mean, it was impossible to learn AGA. I had no idea how to even access the colors in AGA, which were beyond register 31, which is from 0 to 31. So how to access the others. So I had no idea how to do that. Even though I had an Amiga 1200, I had no idea how to access its registers. And I have to say, now I know nothing, but yeah, just reading this book and what I learned from this book and from McGeezer, the five things that he did, and Scoopex. That's all. There, somebody comes in and say, "Oh, you can do this," and I cannot challenge him. What do you mean? Why is this stream so strict? Dr. Me, I did not understand there. No, I think there's an option. I'm not sure if you try to put too many messages one after the other, I think the bot will stop you and you have to wait 10 minutes. But I'm not sure. To be honest, this is something, it's the first time I'm using, I'm using the Twitch, so I don't know where to turn this off. I will check it. I mean, I do not know. So apologies for that, but I hope to fix it in the next stream. So yeah, I did expect some issues in relation to Twitch. Facebook, not that much. I know the limitations because I've been streaming on Facebook before, but Twitch I've never done. So yeah, I do. It's not, I don't know. Then I must have enabled it by mistake. I do not know if it's by design or not. Um, but yeah, uh, I do apologize. Yeah, and I have no idea where it is. So if I enabled it, I need to figure out where it is. um, let's continue. Where I was. Okay, so he's saying that if you learn assembly, it can make you understand a game, what's happening behind. Um, really, all good coder get. Oh well, sorry, John. I have no idea what's happening by the bot. I will need to check that, and I hope that somebody will be able to help me where to actually locate those things. Um, yeah, too many options, you know. And also, I'm using Restream, so I have options in Restream. I have options in Twitch. I have options on Facebook. So yeah. But yeah, try not to type too many messages. If that's the issue, try not to type too many messages one after the other if the bot stops you. Um, yeah, I cannot do much about it. Was I? Yes, he explains also. He explains that by looking at by understanding assembly, you can look at the game and understand where things are. You can also understand, for example, to rip music, to rip graphics, etc. Because, and you have seen on the net, there's many games that have been ripped from graphics and sound, so or music. So yeah. Next one. By the way, LM stands for linguaggio macchina, which means machine code, okay? Oh, I'm losing my voice. This is why I cannot do more than 2 hours. I suffer a lot of this. Even during my streams on Facebook, I could not do more than 2 hours for some reason. I do not know how Shalan manages to do more than 2 hours. Probably it's because he drinks. I'm jealous of him. Anyway, or Hayes, how he manages to stream so long, or even old school coder. I just cannot. I lose my voice. You can see me. You can see me. How to say? Hear me doing the thing to that something is wrong with my voice. Beer certainly helps. Yeah, I know, Gis. Yeah, I think even old school coder drinks beer. Actually, that's a thing. I'm trying to lose weight, so drinking beer is not something I'm trying to avoid right now. It's not that I don't like it, but yeah. Okay, so the he mentions, okay, and I put this in red. LM is as I said, machine code. It means machine code. He says it's funny, but many people do it. Don't use something like action replay to change the text and say that you wrote something. Okay, back in the days, this was something that many did. Okay, you get a game and they go and use something like action replay and they change the code. They remove the developer name and they put their name. I haven't seen it in these last 2 years or so since I've been active again, but I don't know if it's happening or not. I'm not. I think there is more respect to the developers now than there was back in the days. So yeah, do not use Action Replay to move this. Yeah, I know Action Replay rocks. Actually, WinUAE has got something called HTRMon, which I think is built in the last version or last or so, which is actually replay but enhanced. But I haven't really looked into it that deep. I know it's there when you press page up, I think. But yeah. So here he says, but besides this book, you need the Amiga hardware reference manual, which, as I said, I read that one, but the problem with the Amiga hardware reference manual is the lack of examples. This book is full of examples. It will really help you a lot. Even if you do not understand the language, okay, the Italian, that the remarks that there are, you will understand the code. And if you understand the code, you can follow better the Amiga hardware reference manual because the examples are really good and it covers basically what is in the Amiga hardware reference manual. Another thing that you need to know, and it's common sense, you need to know the 68,000. No, what you got? Oh yeah, but when did you get for £4 the Amiga hardware reference manual? I wish I can get it. I got mine for 20, but that was 2 years ago. I doubt you can get it for 20 now. Yeah, so you got it 3 years ago for £4. Then I got it 2 years ago. I got it for 20. Now you have to pay 50 or more, I believe. And to get the edition 3, okay? Oh God, you need to pay quite a lot. So yeah, they are not cheap anymore. Even the 68,000 books, they are very expensive. you can pay 50 easily for a 68,000 book. I think they start at 20, but the good ones, like Zach, forgot his name right now, they are, I think, close to 50, the 68,000 ones. So yeah. He talks, this is he talks about as in one, and actually I should show you this. Let me switch back to the Amiga, to my Amiga, and start as in Pro. If you type equal C, I believe, sorry, I need to see again what he said. Where is it? Equal capital C. So Amiga again. Equal, I think, anyway, you can do it also from here. It will not show. Oh, thanks, Naufrago. I know who you are, for the follow. I need to type, that should not come up with the colors. For some reason it's showing the colors, but what it should show me, so I must be doing something wrong, because equal C, you see it's colors, but what it should show me, maybe it's C. No. Let me see my notes, because my notes will tell me, or at least I hope. Yeah, here it's saying equal C also. I don't know why it's doing. So basically, there is this command. I need to figure out why it's showing me the color palette instead of the. So as in Pro has got a help file built in. So if you type equal C, it should display the Amiga hardware registers and their help. Okay, and then you can even type the register if you know the. So for example, if I type 180, for example, which is color, it's not going to show it to me. So I'm doing something wrong, which I cannot really remember. No. It will show the information related to register DFF180. So it's quite handy, the as in Pro. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong in relation to that. In the Italian version, I haven't arrived there, so yeah, I haven't encountered the problem. So let's continue with the book. In fact, look, he says equals C, and then if you do 040, which will translate it to DFF 040, okay? It will give you the help about BlitCon, okay, BlitCon 0. So this is why I chose as in Pro. 1, because it has coloring. 2, because it has help, okay? And it has help about the Amiga hardware registers. It has help about the Amiga AGA. It has help about the commands of the assembler. None of the other assemblers has got built-in help. I am a person that I'm used to DefPack besides as in Pro, okay? DefPack doesn't have built-in help as far as I know. Correct me if wrong, but I think McGeezer knows more than me on that. But as far as I know, DefPack doesn't have help files. You can also enhance the help files if you want, but that is something that, I won't be going in. They use the Amiga guide format, so you can even enhance them and get better help. And also, I can use, as I said before, a tool chain like what McGeezer was using, or what I've seen on the internet using Visual Studio Code. However, the book refers to many things related to the assembler, so I prefer to stick with SM1 as an assembler. So it does have help, but not those are, so it does have help on doesn't have help on AGA, but has help on the registers, the DefPack. I mean, I don't recall having. I know it has a .guide files, but this is within the assembler, the help. So ASM Pro has got built-in help within. While you are coding, you can get help immediately, basically. I think I'm going to stop here. I've done my 2 hours, and I thank everyone that has followed me, and I hope that I will be sorting out the issues that I had, that you guys faced in Twitch. No, David, if you joined from the beginning, you how to say, there were issues in sending messages. For some reason, you get blocked if you send too many messages. I think I don't know how I enabled that option. I need to figure out. But yeah, too many options because I'm using, as I said, Restream, Twitch, and Facebook. The only one that I know how it works is Facebook, and even that recently changed, and it's not nice being in jail, in Twitch jail. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Hopefully it won't happen again. So I also like to thank the people that I learn from, and I will end my stream with thanks to people that I learned from, because I really appreciate anyone trying to teach others. I mean, you guys don't know, but I teach, well, I used to till COVID. I teach children with the age of 9 and 13 through the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Okay. And I like what I see. When you cannot imagine the joy of a 9-year-old child when he writes a game and he can play his own game. Okay. So for me, that is more than with big satisfaction seeing these things. And believe me, I had a girl, and this is a girl, okay? She was 10, and she wrote a version of Lemmings, okay, crude, but same like Lemmings, okay? You have the Lemmings, or they were cats, okay? And you have to drive them into the door, okay? And on the way there were pots. That's amazing, okay? It was cats and no more. Uh, that's what she did. It's incredible. A girl age 10 did this, and she wrote this with sketch, stretch, sorry. But yeah, I have even people that do HTML and CSS or Python at that age. Okay, there are projects that are free. Maybe you have children and you want them to learn on the Raspberry Pi Foundation. It's I think under projects, if I remember correctly. If you go on Code Club, you should find them under projects, and you will find these type. Scratch has got 15 projects, and the other I forgot how many they have, but they're quite good. Yeah. So thank you very much for the follow and for listening to me. And yeah, I hope this next stream will be in 2 weeks, because next one it will be in Italian. So it will also be on Sunday, but it will be an Italian version of a continuation of this, because I already did this one. Thank you very much, and let's put the closing theme.